Welcome to my channel English Stories. Today is my topic, History of Bahadur Shah I. Bahadur Shah I, also known as Bahadur Shah Zafar, not to be confused with the last Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah II, was the seventh emperor of the Mughal Empire. He ruled from 1707 to 1712 after the death of his father, Aurangzeb, and was the first ruler of the Mughal Empire after its significant territorial and political decline began with his predecessor's harsh rule. Bahadur Shah Pandur's reign was relatively short, lasting only 5 years, but it marked the beginning of a period of instability for the Mughal Empire, which was plagued by internal divisions, economic troubles, and external threats. Despite his best efforts to restore the grandeur of the Mughal state, Bahadur Shah Zafar's reign is often seen as a transition period leading to the eventual downfall of the empire. Early life and background, birth and family. Bahadur Shah. I was born as Muazzam on October 14, 1643, the eldest son of Emperor Aurangzeb and his wife Dilras Banu Begum. He was one of the most prominent princes during Aurangzeb's reign and played a significant role in military campaigns in the Deccan. Bahadur Shah was known for his diplomatic and tolerant nature, contrasting sharply with his father's more austere, orthodox policies. This quality made him a popular figure among the nobles and courtiers, though he was not as militarily inclined as his siblings. Early military and administrative career. Bahadur Shah. I had a long history of administrative experience, having served as viceroy of several provinces, including Deccan, Punjab, and Gujarat. He proved himself as an able administrator and leader, though his reign would not be free from challenges. Accession to the throne war of succession. After the death of Aurangzeb in 1707, a violent succession struggle erupted between Bahadur Shah I and his 3 brothers, Azam Shah, Akbar Shah, and Muazzam. Bahadur Shah, who was the most senior and experienced of the 4, quickly garnered support from the Mughal nobility, especially from key factions within the empire. Azam Shah, the second eldest, was initially declared emperor by his supporters, but Bahadur Shah I was able to defeat him in battle, in the Battle of Jajau, 1007, near Agra. Azam Shah was killed during the battle, and his supporters were crushed. Bahadur Shah's victory ended the immediate threat to his rule. Akbar Shah, who had rebelled earlier, eventually fled to Persia, and Muazzam was captured and imprisoned. Thus, Bahadur Shah III emerged as the uncontested ruler of the Mughal Empire. Reign of Bahadur Shah Zafar, 1707 to 1712. 1. Efforts at restoration and religious tolerance. Religious policy. One of the most notable aspects of Bahadur Shah I's reign was his attempt to reverse many of his father's more oppressive policies, especially those that had alienated the Hindu population and other religious minorities. Bahadur Shah sought to re-establish the policy of religious tolerance that had been a hallmark of earlier Mughal emperors, particularly Akbar the Great. He reopened places of worship that had been closed during Aurangzeb's rule and allowed the practice of Hindu festivals and traditions at court. He also pardoned many political prisoners who had been arrested by Aurangzeb for religious reasons. Religious patronage. Bahadur Shah. His reign saw greater tolerance toward Hindus, and he began to employ prominent Hindus in his administration. He also sought to patronize Sufism and Shia Islam, which contrasted with his father's stricter Sunni orthodoxy. Sikh relations. Despite Bahadur Shah's more moderate stance, relations between the Mughal Empire and the Sikh community remained tense, especially after the execution of Guru Gobind Singh's sons by Aurangzeb. Bahadur Shah did not succeed in fully reconciling with the Sikhs, and the Sikh Khalsa continued to resist Mughal authority, though there were attempts at peace. Second, military and administrative challenges. Deccan Campaign. One of the significant challenges for Bahadur Shah was the continuing conflict in the Deccan, where the Maratha Empire had become increasingly powerful. While the Marathas had been a thorn in Aurangzeb's side, their influence grew during Bahadur Shah's reign. In 1710, Bahadur Shah was forced to deal with the Maratha raids into Mughal territories. He engaged in several campaigns, but his resources were limited, and he was unable to decisively defeat the Marathas. The Maratha threat would continue to destabilize the Mughal Empire for years after Bahadur Shah's death. Rajput rebellions. Despite his more tolerant approach, Bahadur Shah, I still faced resistance from Rajput rulers who were unhappy with Mughal interference in their autonomy. However, Bahadur Shah was able to maintain a delicate balance by granting concessions and working with key Rajput families, such as the Mewar Rajputs under Ajit Singh. Internal rebellions. Bahadur Shah Zaffar's reign was also marked by growing internal dissent and administrative challenges. His inability to control the nobility and military factions within the empire led to a lack of centralized power, which gradually weakened the Mughal state. Third decline in Mughal power. Economic strain. The Mughal Empire's finances were in decline due to the cost of constant warfare, particularly the military campaigns against the Marathas, Rajputs, and other regional powers. The growing economic difficulties and inefficiencies of the imperial administration during Bahadur Shah Zaffar's reign contributed to the weakening of Mughal power. Political instability. Bahadur Shah's rule was also marked by a lack of effective leadership in dealing with the emerging regional powers. The Maratha Confederacy and other provincial powers began to assert their independence, and the empire's control over its far-flung provinces started to erode. Fourth, relations with the British and other foreign powers. British East India Company. During Bahadur Shah's reign, the British East India Company continued to expand its influence in India. Bahadur Shah granted the British a royal farman decree in 1717, which gave them trading rights in Delhi and protected their commercial interests. This laid the foundation for British dominance in India, though the Mughals at this time still retained nominal control over much of the subcontinent. Persian relations. Bahadur Shah. I also faced threats from Persia under Shah Sultan Hussein, who attempted to exert influence over northern India, though his ambitions were not fully realized during Bahadur Shah's reign. Death and succession. Death. Bahadur Shah. I died on February 27, 1712, after a brief illness. His death marked the end of a brief period of hope for a revival of the Mughal Empire. He was succeeded by his son, Bahadur Shah, who would prove to be a weak and ineffective ruler. Legacy. Despite his attempts at reform and moderation, Bahadur Shah was ultimately unable to restore the grandeur of the Mughal Empire. His reign marked the beginning of the empire's decline, with internal instability, economic troubles, and external threats beginning to overwhelm the Mughal state. Bahadur Shah. It was remembered for his relatively tolerant religious policies, his diplomatic efforts, and his attempts to stabilize the empire during a time of increasing disintegration. However, his reign did not prevent the empire from continuing its slow decline into the 18th century. Key achievements and legacy: religious tolerance. Bahadur Shah is often remembered for attempting to re-establish a more tolerant Mughal policy, reversing the harsh measures of his father, Aurangzeb. Succession. Victory. His victory in the War of Succession marked the end of a bitter family conflict and secured his rule over the empire. Diplomatic relations. He initiated significant diplomatic moves, including granting trading rights to the British East India Company in 1717, Maratha threat. Despite his efforts, he was unable to decisively curb the growing power of the Marathas, which would continue to challenge Mughal authority. Decline of Mughal power. His reign, while moderately successful in some areas, marked the beginning of the Mughal Empire's decline, with weakened central authority and growing regional autonomy. Short reign. Bahadur Shah's reign was brief, lasting only 5 years, and his death led to a succession crisis that further weakened the Mughal state.